I said in an earlier video that God was in the process of separating. In Genesis, we see that he has clear division. This process becomes even clearer as you go through the Old Testament, where you see he separates Israel from the rest of the world. It is this extreme homogenization where everything is to be brought together and made the same that is satanic. So in Deuteronomy 7, God is saying to the Israelites that he is going to give them great victory. And he says he's going to do this in a very slow process. And he says the reason why the process is slow is because if they do it quickly, they won't be able to handle the environment. Okay, so he says that he'll do this, and he'll do this by creating confusion among the enemy. So the enemy will be confused, and Israel will overtake them. Now, God does something very interesting here, and this goes into them separating themselves from the enemy that God would be destroying. They are now permitted to participate in this process of separating themselves from an evil world. And so God says that they are to take their idols and utterly destroy them. And he is aware that they will desire to take these idols and see them as useful. For example, many were made out of precious gems or gold or what have you. I don't know what they were all made out of, but things of great value. And he tells them, don't bring them in any way, just utterly destroy them. Now that's fascinating, taking something that's valuable and destroying it for the purposes of separating yourself from the world. And that is a godly thing to do, to separate yourself from the world. Right now, in the church, in evangelical churches even, we're seeing an embracing of worldly ideas. People that I never thought would do this are doing this. And it's kind of amazing to see that the Bible makes it very clear that we are, if you follow the teachings of God, you will be divided from the world. That is the pattern of God to do that. We are to be separate from the world. It is an honor to participate in that process. Now, this is not in conflict with the New Testament, where it says we are to be in the world and yet not of the world. In fact, what it basically says is we are to display this separation before the world. We are to display it for everyone to see. That's what the cross is, right? It's Jesus displaying in front of the world the great victory over the world, okay? Very different than what the world is offering up as what a victory would be. And so in the book of Acts, what you see is people who were stuck inside of the dark arts, okay, where they used valuable objects like crystals and different things like that. It says that they all got together. There was one particular town where they even had a child who was demon-possessed that was telling them the future, and they were relying on this child. And God was taking that and basically through the apostles in doing their missionary work, he was going in there and he was fixing these kind of problems. Okay. And the town needed this kid. They felt like they needed this child to survive and prosper. And God changed all that. All right. So when these people who were stuck in the dark arts came out, they didn't sell these things. They destroyed them. So, in Christians today who are involved in these things, in Wiccan and so forth, when they come out of it, that's the first thing they say is that they destroy all this stuff. That is participating in separating yourself in the things of the world. And what we need is guidance from God in what the things that are in our lives that we need to be a little bit more separate from, and things that we can have permission to participate in. okay? Because we do need guidance from God on these things. If we're going to be in the world but kept away from temptation, we need to go to God and say, hey, I want to obey you and be in the world, but I also want to obey you and be separate. And again, there could be very tempting and seemingly valuable things that you must get rid of in order to ultimately do that. I hope you know also, one last thing, that I'm not advocating for a rules-based concept here, okay? What I'm advocating for is a desire to honor God to the point that you're participating in what he's doing. And that is a process that's gone on since Genesis, this separation from the world.